Good morning, everyone. We're just going to ask everyone if they can mute their mics as we're going to get started soon. It is 10:08, so we will be mindful of everyone's time. And so just to start off, we want to introduce everyone on the call today. We have Kaushi, who's the co-coordinator for education as well, online with us. And myself is Kumran, and Suhinya is also the support staff that's been helping out with our creation for Google Classroom. It's been helping us out with all the support side for the education component as well. So content creation, Google Classroom creation. So she's been very helpful with us kind of supporting the learning team as well. There are other individuals that support the learning team education component. So today's session, we're actually going to focus on Google Classroom, how to log into Google Classroom, and we're going to navigate on how to actually navigate the classroom itself, downloading the content as well. So if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat room itself, or you can raise your hand up by using the reaction at the bottom of your screen, or the three dots. Depending on the device that you're using, there's three dots. You can use that to access your reaction and be able to raise your hand if you have any questions, and we'll be able to answer your questions as we go through the information session today. So the best way to access any of your Google Classroom materials or any classes that are being conducted by the temple is to actually go back into your SVTS learning calendar. The way you can actually access this learning calendar is by, sorry, I just want to share my screen. My apologies. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay. So the best way to access the learning calendar is going through the email that was sent out, and also it was posted in the Telegram as well. So the Telegram chat. So you can always access the Google Calendar that way. So I'm just going to show you how when you click on the link, this is what the calendar looks like. So at the top, it gives you an introduction, like a description of what to do and how to follow through with the calendar. So if you click on each month below, you will actually see what the layout of all the classes are for the selected dates. So for example, February, you'll see the Abhirami Andari classes that are conducted on Sundays. You have the chanting classes bi-weekly, which is Wednesday and Saturdays as well. And then you also see that the scared rites rituals and the Sanatana Dharma classes are conducted on Friday. So for each month, you'll actually see the dedicated classes that are conducted for each month. So I'm just going to take you back to the main site of the page as well. So the SVTS learning calendar for 2021, you'll see that there are class legend. So people who are new to this calendar system, the Google Calendar, you'll see that there are specific classes for specific participants. So for example, the dark purple is geared towards general public. And then you have the yellow highlight, or the color font, is for children. The green is for chanting sessions. And then the youth camp is identified in blue. So it tells you, and then it also requires initiation, which is identified in red. So that's an easy way to kind of help you navigate the type of classes and what's required for each classes as well. So a lot of the months have what's called hyperlinks. So if you look at, for example, if we go into February, if you just hover over Sunday, February the 7th, you can see that when I hover over where my mouse is, you can see my mouse moving. If I hover over Abhirami Andari class, there is an actual hyperlink that comes up. So if you click on it, which I just did, it actually takes you into what's called the course description. So it tells you what the course, the date and time is. So you can see how it's highlighted right there on the screen. So date and time says Sundays at 3:30 to 4:30 and ET. So it tells you the time, it tells you the date. And also below that, you have the purpose and the intent as well. So every class has a description. It tells you the audience, if it's for public or if it's for initiated, so for someone who has to have initiation into Sri Vidya or Mantra Diksha, it tells you that as well, but also gives you a link to help you with registration as well. So please remember, there's always a class description. So if you want to hover over the class, click on the link, it gives you access to the class description itself. So every class description will be unique for that specific class as well. Another way to get back, so if you go through February, March, so as you can see, there's going to be Siva Puja that's conducted on March 21st coming up and March 28th. So that's a new class that's going to be conducted. And also, if you're not aware, the Bala Vidya orientation is going to be conducted on March 13th. And then the first day of Bala Vidya weekend will be March 20th. So if you actually hover over the class itself, you can click on it. So I'm just kind of going over again just to show everyone how each class description will be unique to the class itself. So it gives you the format, it gives you course material, information about the course material as well. So just to be aware that there are detailed information about each class itself. Best way to go back to the main page. So if, for example, if you're in like May or June and you kind of want to navigate back to the main Google Calendar site or the page, you just click on the top here. It says click here to go back to main page. If you click on that link, it takes you back to the main landing page for the SVTS Learning Calendar 2021. So please do take the time to read over the important notes that's up here, that's highlighted. There are links to the website itself. So if you click on the link, it takes you back to the Sri Vidya Temple, srividya.org webpage. If you haven't been receiving any emails from the temple, you can always register your email address. Please do identify what type of email you would like to receive. So we always suggest that everyone, check off all three components, because in that way you have opportunities to receive multiple various information from the temple itself. So just to remember, going back to the calendar, just go take your time, familiarize yourself with the various months, familiarize yourself with accessing different course materials when you get a chance to do that. Any questions at this time regarding the Google Calendar before we proceed further? I don't see anything in the chat, so don't see any raised hand either. Okay, so next step would be to registering for classes. Some of you might have gone through this, but we just want to kind of go overview of how to register for classes as well. Everyone's usually, any class materials or any type of new information about a class is always going to be emailed to individuals. So that's why it's important that you register for our email, to receive our email by the temple. So usually our emails will tend to look like this, what you see on the screen. So you will see a highlight of what is going to be outlined in the email itself. So for example, the 2021 learning calendar was emailed to everyone. And this is the email that was sent out to all our devotees at the temple. So if you click on the email, you will actually see a hyperlink for 2021 learning calendar. So that takes you back to this. So if you don't know how to access this, always go back to your calendar, the email that you received from the temple, and you can always access the learning calendar that way. If you haven't, most of you already logged on to the session through the Telegram itself. But if you know any other devotees or any other participants that would like to access the SVTS Learning Telegram group chat, you can always forward them this email and they'll be able to access this as well. They can access the group chat by this link by hovering over it and clicking on the link itself. Okay. So for example, you'll see on the screen here, it says that we are going to be conducting a new class, which is called Siva Puja. It's going to be conducted on March 21st and March 28th of 2021. So the time frame it tells you is 10 to 11:30 a.m. So there's a brief description of what the class is going to be, the brief description of the class itself. And every class or every email that goes out will have a slight brief description. But if you click on here where it says learn more, you actually takes you to the class description. So you don't have to necessarily go into the learning calendar itself. So on the email, if you see learn more, click on that and it gives you a good description of what the class is. So this is your class description landing page. So it tells you what the classes, when the classes are, so your class schedule. It tells you how the class is going to be conducted. So because of the pandemic, we are running our classes virtually through Zoom. So a lot of the Zoom links will be provided to the members through the learning chat, the learning Telegram learning chat. Also, it will be sent, it will be also uploaded on the Google Classroom as well. So you can access it through there. So it gives you a description of what the prerequisites are, the commitment, and it tells you the topics that are going to be covered, the format of the classes, and any class materials as well. So just to be aware, all these class materials will be posted on Google Classroom as well. So you do have to register for the class in order to access the class materials itself. Okay, let me go back to, okay. Beside learn more, you will see register now. So I will shortly take you over to show you how to actually register for a classroom itself. But I just wanted to kind of go through down. As you can see, for another new class is going to be the virtual Bala Vidya class itself. That also has a learning more page that you can click on to get more information. And then it also, if you scroll further down, you have the chanting practice sessions. So you can also join the Telegram group that way. You can also access your the learning platform, the course description platform, by clicking on learn more as well. And there's more information about how to donate, how to access the srividyatemple.org/learn web page as well. So I'm actually going to show everyone how, at this time, I'm going to show everyone how to register for the Siva Puja itself. So if you click on the link, it takes you to the SVTS WUFU form. It's a signing, this is where you have to register for the class itself. So I'm actually going to show you, I'm actually going to register myself as I haven't registered for it yet. So you indicate your name. So please always put your full name. And you always want to make sure you're providing your email address. So Google Classroom, if you have a Google account, you can always use your Google account here. So you always double check your email addresses, because this is where you will get your verification code or classroom, what's called the classroom code, in order to register for the Google Classroom itself. So double check your email addresses here. There is a prompt here, please enter your email address correctly. So just make sure you do double check your email address, because that's, like I just mentioned, you will get the verification and the class code to this email address. So you can see here, every registration, there will be class prerequisites. So you always want to make sure you are registering for the correct course, a correct class itself. You want to double check to make sure you are meeting the requirements. So I am going to check off. So I do have limited knowledge. And here it's very important you understand that class materials are just meant for personal use. We do not allow anyone to share other materials with other individuals. So please do be aware that it is meant for personal use only, and it's shared with you as you are registering for the classes. So once you click off the required components here on the registration form, you will click submit. So as you see, you will get once the registration form goes through, you will get a confirmation on your screen saying that thank you for registering for the class. We have sent you an email with the detailed instructions. So this is where you have to go in and check your email. When you check your email, let me share my other screen. Actually, let me see if I can show my other screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you should be able to see my other screen here. I'm just hiding some of the other stuff, sorry. So you'll see here, it says, dear friend, welcome to Siva Puja class 2020 for Sri Vidya Temple. If you look down on the third paragraph, it says the Google Classroom class code for this course is 57RJNSR. If you just highlight that and just copy, and then if you click here, you can actually, where it says click here, you will actually takes you to our Google Classroom, and I'm going to share you that screen. This is a screen that shows you how to do the setup. So it gives you information on how to actually access the Google Classroom. So if you click on classroom.google.com, you will be able to access the website itself. If you want, you can just type in the URL. So it gives you instructions, step 1, step 2. When you go in, the one thing that you have to really remember, and is crucial to remember, is whatever email addresses that you're going to use for Google Classroom. So I'm just going to open this up. Oops. Can you see the Google Classroom sign-in? I'm hoping you can see that. Okay, so I'm actually going to log in using my Google ID. So please remember, whatever you use to register for your Google Classroom, you always have to use that same email address to access your Google Classroom itself. So if you registered with another email and you're trying to access a Google Classroom with another email address, it won't let you. So just remember, whatever you're doing to register for this Google Classroom, you have to use the same email. So just remember which email you're using to register your classroom. So for example, for this demonstration, I'm actually using my Gmail account, so kumaran.mahatavan@gmail.com. So I'm going to log in with my password. Hopefully I remember my password. Okay, there we go. So you'll see at the top all the classes that I have actually registered for. So you'll see various classrooms. So I'm going to, because this is the first time you're registering for a classroom, if you see at the top here where there's a little plus button at the top right-hand corner, right beside the waffle cone and my initial K, if you click on here, if you just hover over, you'll see create or join a class. So you're going to click on that and you're going to click on join class. So remember the email confirmation that you received when you registered. So this is where you want to actually type in or copy and paste. So I'm actually going to go back to the email and I'm going to copy that code just to make sure I capture the code correctly, because if you don't capture the code correctly, it will not work. So remember, it's telling you which email you're logged in with. So kumaran.mahatavan@gmail.com. And then your class code, I copied and pasted from the registration. You would have received an email. So copying and pasting that code into this class code box. And I'm going to click on join. And I see at the top, you'll see that it's indicating is join. And voila, you have joined the Siva Puja classroom. So this is very important that you follow the steps. Is one, you have to register. So I'm going to go back into the registration form. You have to register for the class. In order to access Google Classroom materials, in order to access all the class materials, including the link for meetings, you have to register for the class. So just remember, you always have to register. So when you register, please indicate your email address, because you will be receiving confirmation with the class code. Once you receive the class code, you'll be able to log in to your Google Classroom. So when you log into your Google Classroom, you'll be able to access the course materials there. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if I did go too fast, please let me know. I can go back to you.
Does the same class code can be used for all classes, or is it individual for each class?
It's actually individual for each class. So
Okay.
Google Classroom the class code will be unique for each classroom. That's a good question. So you do have, that's why it's important that you register for every individual class, because like just mentioned right now, the classroom code will be unique. Also, the materials for each class will be unique for each class. So in order to receive unique course materials, you have to register for each classes.
What if you register and the email doesn't appear in your mailbox?
What if you register and the email doesn't appear? So if you didn't receive the email, my suggestion would be first is to check your junk mail and your spam or junk mail first, because sometimes when like some of the email systems, it automatically like sends emails into your junk folder or your spam folder. So first check in there. And if you haven't received it in that your junk mail or spam folder, you can go back, just give yourself like an hour or two, because sometimes that does take time to process. If not, you can email us at learn@srividya.org, and we will be able to help you troubleshoot that as well. That's a good question. Thank you. I'll just write the email address in the chat for those who, just in case. So it's learning@srividya.org, and we'll be able to help you troubleshoot as well. But always remember, check your junk mail, your spam folder, because sometimes it does go through that. Any other questions?
I see that your link has Sri Vidya, no A there. Is that correct? Learning at Sri Vidya. You didn't put the A, Sri Vidya.
On sorry, which link are you referring to?
The one that
Oh,
you
for
just
the
typed in the chat box.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's my mistake. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure before I copy paste it and
Yes.
say
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess I can switch my screen if that's okay.
Yeah. Let me just stop sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so now we're going to go into how to navigate Google Classroom itself. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'm going to switch it. Okay, so for navigating the classroom, there are a couple of ways to do this. So we're going to continue from where Karanana left off. So after you registered into the class, now we need to know where all the content is, the announcements, how to access the recordings, or anything in general, how to ask questions in the classroom. So what you'll be doing is once you join the classroom, I'm going to show you a sample with one of the classes that we've already had. So here are all of the classes that I have registered on my own for. We'll go with Shiva Prana chanting because that was an older class. Typically, when we have the class at the very beginning, when everyone has joined, we'll always post a welcome message for everybody to see. Oh, sorry. You'll see this welcome message, which will say the time, a reminder of the time of the class, and that like any other content and how to access it. If you notice, we always try to redirect you to the classwork tab, just so that the stream page is not overwhelmed with content being shared. And so it's easier for you to see all the different subgroups that we have listed there. The stream page, you'll notice that you won't be able to actually post anything on the stream page as a participant, but you'll be able to comment. So again, the only people who will be able to access this post and actually post onto the stream page will be the teachers of the class. And then as a participant, you can comment on the post that's any post that's given and just ask any general questions there itself. So you'll always have this welcome message. And then right after that, what we try to do to help navigate the classroom and specifically the classwork tab is provide you with hyperlinks of each section or subtopic in the classwork section. So here under general information, we'll always have information about the course itself, so the class description or if there's a question form, say for Abhiramyanda Day or any Essence of Shiva Pranam class where Aya is teaching it, or any teacher's teaching it, we'll have a question post there that you'll be able to go to the question form and ask all your questions so that we can share it with the teacher at that time. The class materials section has all of the different texts that we produce for that class. As Kumarnana mentioned, in the registration form, we do kindly ask that everyone does not share the content. If someone is wanting to learn or get access to the content, that's completely fine, but we want to encourage everyone to join the classroom themselves so that they can get access. Just because this is property of the temple, so we want to be mindful of that as well. And in addition to that, the last thing is you'll always see a section where we have class recordings. So sometimes we're aware that we're all in different time zones. So keeping in mind of that, we do record the classes so that everyone has access to the recordings if they're unable to make it due to a prior commitment. So at the top of your page, sorry, I'll just go back to the top. Right here above this banner, you'll notice that there's 3 sections. It'll say stream, classwork, and people. The stream will be where we post our general announcements. As you can see, we've posted announcements for the class. The people will tell you who's enrolled, which is not as important for us at this time. But for the classwork tab, that'll be the most essential part for all participants so that you can get access to the Zoom link, the recordings, and any outstanding content that you might need. So we'll go to the classwork tab and you'll click at the top. If you are on a tablet or a phone and you're using the app, you'll notice that that bar where it says stream, classwork, and people, it might not be at the top, it'll actually be at the bottom. So be aware of what device you're using because it could vary where the location of that bar is. So I've clicked on the classwork tab. If you look here, it'll say general information and it'll say the course description. So you click on the actual item. When it says the course description, you'll notice that the doc has been attached over here. So you can click on the doc to read what is there for the actual class. So that'll be for the course description. The class materials, we typically try to ensure that all class materials are in multiple different languages, just for accessibility for different learners. So again, you'll click on the doc on the specific material post, and you'll notice that all of our docs are in PDFs. So it will be a PDF file. When you are trying to access a doc, I'll go in English, right here, you can view it directly on the screen. Another alternative to this is if you would like to download the content, if you click at the top right corner, you'll see the 3 dots that says more actions. You'll click on that and click on open in new window. Once you open it in a new window, you'll be able to open either with Google Docs, or the main thing that many people would ask for is how to print. So you can directly print through here, or you can click on download so that you can open this file as a Word doc. So you click on this arrow pointing downwards, and that's how you download a file. You won't be able to download directly from the classroom on that first page. You'll have to open again in a new window for you to be able to access that download. So that's how you download content. And then the last thing is that we usually have a section where it says live stream and class recordings. If we have a class that has a Zoom link, we'll post it in this section and it'll say Zoom class link. Afterwards, once a class has been completed, we'll post the date as well as the class recording title. So it'll say Monday, April 20th, 2020, class recording. That'll be the YouTube live stream link that we've shared. All of these links are unlisted, so you won't be seeing them even if you subscribe to the temple's web YouTube page channel. You won't be able to actually get notified by it because it is a private video, so it's unlisted. Because we've given you access to the link now, you can view the recording through YouTube itself. And those are our 3 components within the classwork tab. Again, this is the most important part when it comes to what do you do once you enroll into a class, and this is where you would access content. From this point onwards, do we have anyone who has any questions? I don't see anything in the chat. Hopefully I wasn't speaking too quickly.
No, it was very clear. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so here again, downloading content is how I showed it to you earlier. Remember, always open in new tab from the content that you're accessing, and then from there download. Just a side note, when you are trying to access content, when I try to access this, sometimes you might get this notification saying you need to request access. And that typically occurs when you are not using your Gmail or account that you've registered for the classroom with. Google Classroom is very sensitive. So even if your default email on your browser is not your email that you've enrolled in, it will tell you that you can't access that doc. So make sure that your default email in the browser is the one that matches with your registration, so that you can download the content, or else it will ask you to request access. You always need to, like Kumarana mentioned, you always need to use the email that you registered with to access all content, so that it picks up, that Google Classroom will pick up the fact that you're somebody who's within the class accessing content. Oh, so for asking questions, I don't think it's listed in this page. Typically what we do, I'm just going to show you another classroom so it's easier. So just give me 1 minute. So in the classwork tab, we'll usually have a questions to ask post. For classes with Aya, we have this type of form where you'll see under general information, we write questions to ask Aya form, and you'll click on the form and write in your question. So you might put your name here and what is that might be my question that I have for the class, and then I would click submit. This is specific to the classes we have with Aya. For other classes, we go through a different approach. So I'm just going to show you. If you go into the class recording section, there'll be a post that says questions about class content. We'll always title the post based off of what its purpose is. So when you're asking a question for a class, look for the post that says questions about class content, and you can just comment. Again, we'll put instructions under every post. Once you click on the post, you'll notice it says, please post any questions you have about the content covered in the comment section of this post. If you already have questions that you would like to see addressed in this class prior to the beginning of the class, you can post it here. If there's any questions that you have during the class, you can also post it here. Because we're taking the Zoom platform, we do want everyone to also write their questions in here, but you can also feel free to ask questions during the class itself, because it'll take more of an interactive approach. Hopefully that answered the question. Are there any other questions that anyone might have?
Do your texts in English have transliteration and translation?
The English ones. Sorry, I'm just going to show a sample of how the English ones would look. It's usually just the transliterations that we have.
Okay, so there's no meaning in it. Okay, thank you.
So depends on the class, but typically it'll just be the transliteration if it's more of a puja like text itself. But if you look here, like sometimes we'll explain like some things about the puja. The person who's teaching the class will go more into it. I think if there are no other questions, I think we can conclude right there. Again, if you do have any questions and they haven't come up during this meeting that we just had, the session itself, feel free to always ask in the SVTS Telegram chat. Myself, Kumarana, or Sahina are there. There's also Ekta who's there to support with these questions too. So just let us know, and you can either choose to message in that chat, ask us privately, or the best alternative is emailing us at learning@srividya.org, and we'll get back to you with a response and try to support as much as possible. Just a kind reminder, always remember, rule of thumb when registering for Google Classrooms and for accessing content, always use the same email to access content to register for the class, so that it won't glitch or say that something is not available to you. It's typically if your default is not synced with the email that you've registered with. I think that's it. Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.